Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Pmbc meeting for Wednesday, December 14th. I'm going to try to share my screen here if I can remember how to do that. Share screen. Can you guys see the agenda?
Yep.
There we go.
Oh, you can see it now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Gotta move it up.
Okay,
There you go.
so the first order of business is the warrant, so I'll pull that up.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late, but I'm here.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
So this is the one. Can you see the warrant?
Yep.
Okay. So we only have two items on the warrant tonight. One is for $660 for Fitzmeyer, who's the commissioning agent for the solar system on the library, and the second one is for Vertex Company for $474. I'm sorry, for the solar panel OPM work on the library for a total of $1,134. Any discussions or questions?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Bob Romley makes motion to approve. Roll call vote. Bob?
Anyone going to second it first?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Bartlett seconds. Thank you, Marilyn. Roll call vote. Bob?
Bob Rama, yes.
Bob? Yeah, I'm sorry, Bartlett.
Bartlett, yes.
Brian Pasquale.
Brian, yes.
Mike?
Mike Scaduto, yes.
And Stacy.
Stacy Scott, yes.
Okay, great. So the motion carries. We'll go back to the meeting minutes. DPW, is Steve on the line?
You want to?
Yep.
Hi,
Yes.
Steve. Welcome.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me. Stephen Yonley, Director of Public Works. I really just want to take this opportunity to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about, I think the document was sent around, tell you a little bit about how I got to that point. And, you know, really the gist of this is just to get on everybody's radar. So for those that don't know me, I came on with the town back first week of March. Once really getting up to speed with the department and some of the town operations, started taking a hard look at a lot of the stuff. And one of the first things that jumps out is the facility. I'm sure you all know where the highway yard is. It's on the shared space with light and water department, as well as the NEPA facility, the training facility out in the back. Initial thoughts on the facility is we are truly out of space. Stuff is stored outside in the summer, stuff is stored outside in the winter. You know, we kind of do that swap seasonal stuff. We stash stuff on the light department side, office space is tight, meeting space is tight, break room, lunch room, all that stuff is, original to the building, never really been updated, minus a, kitchen cabinet type of thing, replace the sink. Garage space is very tight, very limited. The garage overhead doors are small. We need spotters to put some of the equipment in the building, just to not continue to, hit the sides of the doors, things like that. We have to do different things with the backhoe when that's in, because it only fits in one door. Obviously, the town now hauls their own trash, so we have a larger vehicle that's inside the building. So there's some challenges, as well as some just general, code things we need to work on, ADA compliance. One of the biggest things is I interviewed or talked recently to a prospective employee that was female. I don't have the ability in that building to have a female employee into the workforce. I don't have adequate locker space, separate rooms, that type of thing. So again, that's a little bit of a concern. So in talking to Anthony and the folks at Town Hall, I reached out to Weston and Sampson. I had worked with them. I came from Chelmsford DPW. We worked with them, 2 projects in Chelmsford, the consolidated DPW facility, as well as the central fire station. So I have experience with them. Reached right out to Jeff Alberti. He come out, did a quick walk, took some pictures, kind of developed that initial, basically what I wanted was a budget number. He developed the scope and stuff to give me that budget number. I currently have it on my capital requests for this coming Springtown meeting. I don't know if that is going to continue on there or it might get cut. I know obviously there's other challenges in the community. So again, really just wanting to get kind of the facility on people's radar, knowing that, the library's brand new, senior center's going to be getting into construction pretty soon. Fire station's been done, police, there's talk of a roof on the high school. Obviously, I know there's feasibility study up the Shaker Lane School. So there's other things going on, but I just want to, again, really kind of get on people's radar. So happy to, and one thing I do kind of request of the committee here is if you want to come down, walk around the facility someday, shoot me an email, maybe, schedule a meeting some night down there or whatever, and we can walk around for 20 minutes and I can kind of show you in person some of the challenges that we're up against. So again, be happy to answer any questions anybody has or, anything like that.
Yeah, appreciate it, Steve. I know that when we did the roof project and the fuel storage facility, I've been out there quite a bit, talking to your predecessor and toward the facility. As you say, it has some challenges, and anyone else on the committee that wants to coordinate with Steve and go out and take a look, that'd be great. Bob, Bob, you've been out there, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm aware of what it looks like.
Yeah.
I spent many a day in there when I was in the department.
Yeah. So, but Steve, we appreciate you bringing that to our attention, and we'll see how successful you are at Springtown meeting, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I got to make it that far first, I guess. So,
Yeah.
Obviously with other things happening around the community, we'll see. Hopefully, I at least get past the first hurdle. So yeah, I got people talking about it anyway. So again, that was sort of the goal. So, as the process unfolds, I've been through it with Chelmsford. It started really in 2005. It was a little different in Chelmsford because they bought a building. And it's been in a constant state of renovation since 2012. Kind of a piecemeal approach. You see in some of those documents, I don't think Chelmsford was referenced, but it's Weston and Sampson has pretty much cornered the market on public works facilities all around New England and into New York. So, they're kind of the leader in the industry up around here. So they referenced some newer sites that were done. So again, if we get into this, we'll look at the existing site and then, maybe scope out some other properties around town or something, but, aim high and, hope you get, somewhere in the middle, I guess. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And Weston and Sampson's a top-notch organization. I've worked with them I worked for them for a while, and I've worked with them for probably 7 years. So, understand their capabilities. So any questions for Steve?
Steve, I think this was in the Weston and Sampson report, but what is what's the realistic ask on what you think you need for square footage wise?
So really, I haven't even gotten that far.
Okay.
When they'll come in, I gave him current employees and I gave him the current vehicle and equipment list, and they have programming where they start, punching in so much equipment, it gives you so many, square foot of garage space, admin space, break room, bathrooms, locker room, that type of thing. So I think some of that might, there might have been an example in there, but, I guess some of it drives on if it's on the same facility, to
Right.
renovate the building, do I end up, in a perfect world, I get a drive-through garage, if you've ever been to Westford Highway Department, you drive up the middle and the vehicles park off on the sides and then they back up and they go straight out this way. In a perfect world, that's something, that we would like. It's just simpler for everybody, less doors. It's simple. But again, that comes down to, cost, obviously, if the town has to acquire land, and then site work costs, that type of thing. So if something fits on site, it's probably best case scenario, obviously, the salt shed's there, the fuel island's there, that type of thing. You might have to just do some reconfiguring, traffic pattern wise on existing site. But, again, once we really get programming in numbers, and then thinking of needs of the community 5, 10, 20 years from now. Does the department grow? Does the equipment grow? That type of thing. That's all going to be factored in as well.
Okay. Thanks.
Well,
Yeah, and I'd have them check their numbers. It looks like they're using an unescalated average. Because that 13 million is not accurate for the building, if I'm reading this right.
There's Steve, for your information, Mike is a professional estimator for a contractor, so he's
sure.
He's good. He's good with the numbers.
Yep. No, that's perfect.
Yeah, because that 441 makes no sense, especially if I'm looking at the Rockport facilities escalation.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be closer to that 18, 17.
Yeah, and again, a lot of this will get, like I said at the beginning, I was looking for a budget number just to get the initial study done. So obviously there's a lot with construction industry now, all phases is a lot of different escalators and things like that. So once we, fine tune into this scope and stuff and then get working towards, harder numbers looking into the future, I think a lot of that stuff will clear itself up.
So, Steve, you're asked for the Springtown meeting is for a feasibility study?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, 50,000.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thanks so much for your time, Steve.
Nope, thank you. And again, if anybody wants to come down and see the place, just give me a call or at the office or shoot me an email. We can set something up.
Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Take care, Steve.
Moving over to Shaker Lane feasibility study. I think Steve Mark has something set up for January.
Steve, you want to get the approval of the minutes away, out of the way?
Oh, did I? Yeah, I did skip over that. Thank you. I do need adult supervision on these calls. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of November 9th?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, Bob,
Bob Rama, yes.
Mike,
Mike Scudetto, yes.
Bartlett,
Bartlett Harvey, yes.
Brian,
Brian Pasquale, yes.
Stacy,
Stacy Scott, yes.
and Steve Moore, yes. So that's passed. Thank you. Shaker Lane, as I said, I think Steve Mark has something set up for January. He's not here tonight, so we'll move over to the library and turn that over to Brian.
Thank you, Steve. It's been a while since I've seen everyone, so hope everyone's doing well. I have 3 things from the library. Nothing major. I think since the last time we talked, I don't know if we had talked about the MBLC and the grant disbursement. It's my understanding the town is in receipt of the final grant disbursement for around $1 million. So that has been received. So congrats to the town on that. We've also, we are currently have been reprogrammed. We paid for some small programming to be done on the building management system in order to help reduce the amount of energy consumption that was happening at the library. We had done some tweaks. We had it gotten into range on where we had our energy modeling done at the beginning of the design. but it was thought that we could do better. And so we contracted the controls contractor for a small amount of money that were paid for by the trustees. That programming was done 2 weeks ago. And on Friday morning, I'm going to actually go up, visit with the staff, and we're going to meet with the contractor and go through some training to make sure that they understand what was performed and that they understand how the building is going to operate going forward. There were more zones that were programmed and more setbacks were put in as well, so that our VRF system isn't running during later hours, and that in the event committees or boards need to use certain conference rooms, they can do so and have a tempered environment, while other areas in the library are not. So that's a positive as well. They had seen they will be seeing dividends on that on their electric bill coming up.
Brian, can we get that training on video? Is there a possibility?
Good question. Yeah, I will. I'll request that. I'll do that.
Because people are coming and going, and it would be great to have that as a backup for training.
Yeah, it's a good point, Bob.
If I can't secure a camera, I will, tomorrow I will ask, LCTV if they have any capacity for Friday morning. I think it's going to be about an hour. If they would be able to supply anybody, which,
That'd be great.
they were very helpful last time. So,
Brian, do you know?
lastly,
Oh, sorry. I was just, before we leave the controls thing, do you know, did the contractor set up any trends to trend any of those points to show, basically kind of prove out that what they did is working?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So we have trends that we can also follow. We're also trending. Littleton Light is giving us some trends on the actual consumption kilowatt hours that we're using on a day-to-day basis.
All right, good.
So we'll have both of those, the BMS trends and the actual consumption from the municipality.
Sounds good.
Good. Lastly is solar. Save the worst for last. The inverters are still on schedule for a December delivery. I know we're 2 weeks into December and they're not on site yet. I spoke with the contractor today. I expressed I wasn't satisfied with his answer. So we spoke with the distributor and manufacturer, who told us there's no changes. They're still hoping to get those received within the next few weeks. I do have a commitment from the contractor that once they are received, he will come up immediately for the installation of that. At that time, I have the commissioning agent lined up to do the commissioning. And then the original architect from the original library building has the submittal for the lead design submission. He needs the commissioning report for the solar panels in order to submit that. Once that's submitted, we will get our lead rating. That will get submitted to the MBLC or the library commissioners, and then that will result in a green library credit that will be coming back to the town as well. So that will be another grant that will be coming back.
So Brian, is there a deadline on that?
There's no deadline. The MBLC told us that they wanted the lead certification done within a year after after the warranty period had closed out. So that would probably be about a year from last month.
Yeah.
So my job is, once these inverters get installed, I'm going to be on top of Johnson Roberts to make sure that this submission goes in, and that he's following up with lead to make sure that they know the urgency of this.
Good. Okay. Any other questions on the library? Okay, we'll move over to the high school roof. Brian?
Sorry, just trying to unmute. Yes. So Steve, I know I copied you on a couple of emails, but
Yep.
to let everybody else in, we're going out to bid on this more or less now. Russo Bar is notifying the Central Register today that it's going out to bid. Drawings will be available to everybody by a week from today, the 21st, which, it puts the bid period over the holidays, which I wasn't crazy about, but we discussed just going with a longer bid duration and getting it out now rather than waiting till after the first of the year.
Right.
So we're going to have a walkthrough at the library, which Steve Mark's going to be a part of as well, on January 4th, right after the new year. And we'll get bids are due at some point. I forget the exact date, but at some point during the second week in January.
So I know there was a question about bid documents being available online. Brian Forrest, didn't we use like Project Dog for that, or?
We've used two different online bid services, Project Dog and Bid Docs Online. We've had good success with both of those. Just to speak with the senior center, it's my opinion or my suggestion and recommendation that we're going to go with Project Dog for any of the pre-qualification and for bidding services.
Okay.
So
If you need any contacts, Brian, please reach out and I can put you in contact with him. They're really responsive and can turn things around quickly.
Yeah. Can you send me the one for Project Dog?
Yep.
Brian, because I'm familiar with Bid Docs Online, but I've never used Project Dog.
So I know this is recorded, but I find that Bid Docs, Project Dog is a little less cumbersome, and they are quicker to put things up as fast as possible and kind of more responsive to what you need.
Okay,
So
that's good to know.
I'll forward that to you right now.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Brian, is the early bid time to give us more lead time for material?
Yeah, that was the intent, is we want to get it out there as soon as possible. And my thought was that we were just going to wait till after the first of the year, but Russo Bar kind of talked me into why not get it on the street now and make it, potentially make it even a little more attractive to contractors, that they have a little bit of a longer bidding period. Their bid period's almost a full month right now. And also give them a little bit more lead time to get material.
I think that's a smart call. If we put it out on the street now, we're probably number one on the list for next year, right?
Right. That's the hope.
Good call.
Yeah, they won't look at it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But,
That's my fear,
look at it
especially with
first.
the documents not actually available until the 21st. It's, I know almost nobody's working that between Christmas and New Year's, but I think
Right.
the longer bid period makes up for it, at least.
They do it anyway. I give people 4 and 5 weeks, and they call me the last week. Hey, I'm working on it now.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's typical.
Every time.
Yep. So, any other comments, questions on the roof? Okay, we'll move over to the senior center. Brian?
Yep, senior center. Since we've spoken last, we have a contract now in place with Commodore Builders. I know we recommended them to be our construction manager at risk. We've since had several meetings with them. We've released them to get their estimate done based upon the design development drawings of LLB Architects. As we're kind of waiting for them to catch up with their estimate, there have been some tweaks and requests, both from the senior center director and the town administrator, and Mark Rambacher, the part of the select board, who's been joining some of our working group meetings. There's been some changes to the building such that they want a solar panel array designed for the building so that we can see what that is. It might be an instance where we do an alternate like we did on the library, but we like to see what the cost of that would be. And then also we'd like to go with an all-electric building, therefore not introducing any fossil fuels into the building off Shattuck Street.
And what was the I was a little bit surprised that we're going all electric. What was the rationale for that?
It came from Anthony and Mark and Liz that was the route they wanted to go.
Okay.
The hope was that the solar arrays on the roof would hopefully provide some sort of payback towards that, and to get away from escalating fossil fuel costs in the future. The other comment that came from Mark also was that we do have natural gas backup in the library, and it was found that we were using more than what was intended. So the request is to go all electric, have no fossil fuels in it and kind of cut the source off at the road rather than bringing it into the building.
We'll be eliminating the generator too.
That's correct.
So aside from the fact that electric is generated from fossil fuel,
Correct.
Yes.
anyway,
Correct. So this also includes the kitchen equipment. So the designers are going with their kitchen consultant and sourcing the correct equipment that's going to be going into that commercial kitchen that can be accommodated by that. Tomorrow we did have a meeting planned. It unfortunately got canceled with Littleton Light. They had something urgent that came up, but we're going to be discussing how power is being brought into the building, whether or not that they're recommending sharing the transformer location of where the library is currently, and whether they upgrade the transformer at the library and use it for both facilities, how that's going to enter the building, where the electric room is going to go on the bottom floor. So currently right now, Commodore is putting their estimate together. They're starting to formulate some potential savings. I know the DPW director was just on. We're gonna reach out to him. You know, ultimately this site is going to be a cut site, and there's going to be excess fill that's going to need to be taken off site. So we're going to explore options about whether if the town has any needs, if the soil is deemed suitable for any other use, maybe the DPW can take it, or another department in town, which could save significant money hauling it and disposing it off site. Mike Scaduto, I was going to let you know too. So we have the AM Fogarty estimate for DD right now. I will send you both that and the Commodore estimate that they're putting together. The plan is to have a reconciliation. They want to do it in between the holidays. I foresee that being a skeleton crew that's going to do that, but right around the new year is when we're going to do a reconciliation on that.
Cool.
Okay.
Ryan, in the meeting there, Anthony was kind of shying away from that stone finish there. Is that
Yep.
still in, or are we removing that?
So the LLB has provided a couple, we'll call it design, very, very early stages of construction documents, and they've done some exterior renderings and their floor plans, and we've provided some feedback on that. On the exterior renderings, there's some stone veneer that's going around the perimeter. Obviously, these are just very preliminary. We started generating a list of things that would provide savings, and the veneer is definitely one of them. So, yeah, those working groups are a good opportunity to kind of provide some opinions. My hope is that in the next month or so, those can be a little more refined, and I can bring them to the PMBC meeting and get your guys' opinion on what you think for the exterior and floor plans. And I'll try to send those out to you prior to the meeting so you can digest it before we sit down. But obviously, I'd love to get your feedback so that we can bring it back to the working group meeting. You know, ultimately, you guys are going to be overseeing this project. So
Maybe 18 inches, it looks like a foundation, and then do the rest of it the rest of the way down the hardy board.
Sure. Yeah, so I'll ask LLB to, you know, maybe as we come up to another PMBC meeting, is to kind of snap a line and give me a fresh exterior rendering so that we can get some feedback from you guys. The only other item I do have on here is, I alluded to it last meeting, is the invoice package that we're going to start putting together for this project. With Commodore on board now, we're going to start doing monthly invoices. I'll package those together, Steve, and I'll get them to you if that's all right for cursory review after I recommend them, and then you can put them on the warrant and people can review them from there.
sounds good. Yeah.
I think it'll make things quicker so that I'm not piecemealing it to you and sending a lot all at once. So
Yeah, appreciate it.
I do anticipate in the next month or two, I'll be putting together the total project budget. We'll be going through pre-qualification for the filed sub bids. We have our construction manager at risk on. They'll be helping us do that. This project is going to be right around, or it's going to be over that $10 million threshold. So therefore, we have to pre-qualify all of our filed sub bids. We'll do that exercise probably the beginning of the new year. And then we'll put those drawings out to bid for those filed sub bids to put their bids in for that. Ultimately, we're still tracking on schedule. I've requested from LLB that we suggest some times for some community outreach so that the neighbors and other department heads can come and take a look at planning. I don't want anybody being surprised about schedule and about what the aesthetics are of the building. I know the first meeting we had a couple months ago, before we had any renderings, there was some initial, I wouldn't call it pushback, but just questions from some of the neighbors as to what's actually happening. So we've made some progress now. We want to get that out and get that to the community.
Want to
Nice.
fill in on the house, Brian?
Yeah, so the neighbor, currently the neighbor is still residing in the house. It is now the town's property. There is a survey that is being worked on right now that is establishing the new property line between the two properties. Ultimately, there may be some small variances that need to be applied for. We've worked with the building commissioner, who doesn't see there being any issues with this. The retaining wall for the senior center is going to be close, and then the porch from the residence is going to be close to the property line too. But those variances, we were told, is not going to be an issue. We were also given the okay in order to save some of the money on the project, is to allow, once construction starts, the tenant would be, he has 30 days to leave the premises, and the town is given the permission to Commodore and to Vertex to use one of the rooms as their temporary facilities for the time being while construction's taking place. Obviously, they'd be responsible for all the cleanup, and then once they can turn that over and probably house themselves in the new building, the town would then sell the property. We're working with Littleton Water regarding the hookups of the sewer system to the town sewer system. The senior center will be connecting to it, as well as the resident, the house. So part of our project will be disconnecting the old septic tank, or the discharge into a septic tank out of the residence, and then we'll connect that to the sewer system, probably down closer to the library, as the new sewer system that's going to be in Shattuck Street is scheduled to be done probably just after we're completed the construction of the senior center. So we're going to be coordinating with them, making sure that nobody's doing any finish work when the other entity has to do work in the ground. So we'll be determining who's doing the paving, who's doing the trenching, as well as providing as-built from the library to make sure that we're not hitting any existing conduits that we've put in the ground. I think that's all I got right now.
That's great. Thanks for the update.
Yep.
Any other questions? How about member input? Bob?
I'm all set. One thing with Brian, the meeting's still scheduled for the 22nd, Brian? We lose him?
Yes, so we will have a meeting. I'm having a meeting with Commodore on the 21st regarding their estimate, and then on the 22nd, we're going to be meeting with the working groups that we can bring our findings and discuss some of the numbers that we got.
2 o'clock work group?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike?
I'm good.
Bartlett?
I'm okay, thanks.
Brian?
All set. Thank you, Steve.
Stacy? So do we see a need to meet on December 28th? Are people available? Any discussion on that?
Are we going to have any, anything that has to be paid? That would be the only thing.
You know, we probably won't know until a week before, so.
Does Brian have anything that's got to be Brian Fours?
We won't have anything from what we just approved there took us through November. So we're caught up on invoices from my perspective.
So, is there any discussion on maybe skipping the December 28th meeting and moving the next meeting to the second Wednesday in January?
That works for me, Steve.
Fine with me, Steve.
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on vacation. I don't want to risk not having a quorum.
Yeah.
So I'll just schedule the next meeting for the second Wednesday in January.
I think that's the 11th.
Thanks, Marilyn. Okay.
Marilyn, she's right on the ball.
Yep, she is. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor, Bob,
Bob Roma, yes.
Mike,
Mike Scuduto, yes.
Bartlett,
Bartlett, yes.
Brian,
Brian Pasquale, yes.
Stacy. You're on mute, Stacy.
Stacy's muted.
We're gonna take that as a yes.
Yes, there you go.
And Steve is a yes. Thanks for your participation. Have a great holiday, and we'll see
Thanks.
you next year.
You
Same
too.
to you and everybody else.
You too.
And we'll see you
Good night.
next year.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.